People deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning in each and every time, and welcome to my loan report. Now, you know me, people, I don't claim to be no expert. I just take an interest in these young players that are away from our club and just to see their progress, because should any of them get a chance in the first team, I would like to have some sort of clue for the level they're at. I did it with Nelson, I did it with Saliba for the last couple of, this season, and obviously when he was loaned back to St Etienne, and still doing it. And the same goes for whoever, people. I can't watch everything of every game, so I do what I can for you guys and all of those sort of things. I tend to, obviously, if you're here for the first time, not speak about Kolasinac, Torreira and these sort of players that are on loan and things like that, because they're a bit irrelevant as much as I like Torreira. So if you allow me to share my screen with you guys, people, we can get straight up into this. Please hit the like button and make sure you subscribed if you haven't. Now, if we start with Saliba, I'm not going to lie, against Montpellier, shout out to Mavropanos, former Arsenal man who played. I don't think I learnt much. I know that Montpellier have a good players. They've got Kozar. They've got a couple of young players like Willock came off the bench. There's another guy as well. I don't think we learned much in that game. Saying that, the first goal, I can't say Donny's name, but I think Lebode, his early goal, not that Saliba was in it alone, but like I said, when I do these reports, I'm focusing on these players because they're the only ones that play for Arsenal in the team, and I want to see how they're developing. I did think he was caught flat-footed. I did think he was caught watching the ball, and it ties into what I kind of say with you lot every week. He's not going to return to Arsenal a dramatically better player, but he will be a slightly more polished diamond. There's still a lot of polishing to do. The biggest things I can see are off the ball. He can play. The man can play. He can play in a back three. He can play on the right-hand side as a centre-half. He can play on the left. He's very much the modern-day centre-half. He can carry it. It's just about fine-tuning, and he has to go through these tough periods. He does. The whole Nice team are susceptible for those things, but he does switch off a lot. He does sometimes not follow runners. Again, it's very difficult. But you've got to be able to, like I said in brackets here, watch the man if he's there and the ball. Sometimes Saliba is not the wrong thing, but he's watching the ball. But your man's made a run. You might have every intention to meet that header. My man's come and basically in a footballing term dunked on you, sort of thing. So I think they're the main improvements. When to be flat, when not to be flat-footed, when to always be looking over your shoulder. Just these little rough edges. He is going to return a more confident player, a more fit player, because he's getting games. And ultimately that bit closer, because he must have played double figures for games now, and he got another 90 minutes. Again, other than that, I don't think he was called upon too much. A bit of a quiet game not by his standards, but I just think he dealt with every other task he needed to. But sometimes that might be the only thing you have to deal with. Like I said, after going to goal down, Nice did quite well. The 82nd minute, though, end of the game, he was turned inside out way too easily by Waleed. He was forced kind of out wide to defend it. Similar, not as far out wide, but the best way to describe it, if you're not going to watch the highlights, would be similar to how you saw Richarlison, to a degree, an extremely loose way of what you saw Richarlison do to Xhaka. Centre halves, you're going to be pulled out wide. But so far the rough ingredients are there, and I like his communication. You can hear him on the commentators, but obviously I don't speak French, so I don't really know what he's saying, but he seemed very vocal, and that's what I like from you. You need to be a vocal centre half. We've got keepers at this club that are not vocal, so you can see how dangerous it is. But he did what he needed to do in that game, people. And what I saw, Stuttgart lost to Leipzig. It's been quite tough for them. It's another defeat. They were down to 10 men. There was a bit of a valiant effort from them. Their goalkeeper, the young guy, I should have brought his name. He was probably their best player. Mavropanos got 90 minutes, but it was terrible from him. I think, when you look at versus Bayern, versus Dortmund, versus Leipzig, obviously there's only so much one man can do, and definitely in a league like Bundesliga, but you're looking at these games in particular to see where is your level. And I still think, he deserves an opportunity early pre-season to impress Arteta. Maybe Arteta says, you know what, your development is best served here. If I'm honest with you, like I've said once and I'll say it again, I don't think he's ready. I don't think it's going to happen for him. And I actually think there's a chance. I think the best thing is to loan him out again, letting him prove, try and make a profit. But I think all options are open. He could be sold. He could actually be, like I said, given a chance, or he could, go on loan again. I think the best thing probably is to let him stay at Stuttgart. There's stability there. Maitland-Niles knows him. They've dealt with his injury, right? It's a good platform. It's a good experience from him, but I just feel he was terrible. The whole team they were under pressure for large periods of the game. He conceded a penalty and there was no need to make that tackle. Like, again, He's going nowhere really, and you've dived in and you've just not that it's been your fault, but you've flattered the scoreline really, conceded a penalty. I felt his passing lacked a lot and needed a lot to be desired. I think his positioning, he was at 6s and 7s like the whole team. It was a terrible game for the whole team, in my humble opinion. There were a couple good tackles from him, a couple good interceptions, but again, I'm not here to cherry pick for you. I'm here to give you what I honestly feel, and I think he struggled in that game. He's had good periods, but that game was dead from him. I don't think he's quite ready, in my opinion. And like I said, you've got Gabriel, who's slightly more experienced than him, but could be described as raw. Saliba's obviously also raw. The club, just because of the money they've invested in Saliba and Gabriel, they're going to give him a chance. And I just think I've always said it to you, and I have a duty to maintain this. I think one thing that's going to go against Mavropanos amongst everything is I don't think he's as good on the ball as, if they were to keep David Luiz, Gabriel, Saliba, even Holding, to be fair. I think Marie as well. I think these things will go against him really. So the club might look to pull a profit, but I definitely don't think we should make a permanent decision right now. But he had a poor game. We got again. James Olayinka didn't get no minutes, but again, last time he came back and was fit, he suffered a setback. So to know he's on the bench and whatnot against Colchester and Leyton Orient respectively is positive. Joe Willock again. Every time he plays well, again, from what I've seen from Joe and Maitland, I think Joe deserves the chance. I'm more of a Maitland's fan. I'm more of a Maitland fan of giving Maitland a chance in midfield, but Joe's had the more standout season. When he started, he's played well. He's come off he's made the difference against Southampton. He's made the difference against Spurs, and we all know he loves to play at Anfield. Good goal from the lad. That game, he played 26 minutes. He scored the vital goal. He nicked it for Newcastle, who deserved it after we all saw Wilson's deny the goal. How, I don't know, because Trent's pushed him into Alisson and, the ball's ricocheted. And come on now, it's getting the right decision. And then there's ruining the game. And I think Newcastle on that balance, they should have had 2 goals that stood. But I'm sure Joe Willock wouldn't have been happy to be on the bench. I'm sure he's, at the start he was starting. He's got to ask himself why he's been in and out the team. What is it Steve Bruce reckons it now? Maybe it's just other players are playing right and whatnot. He's definitely enhanced his reputation, and apparently it was a 20 million thing that Arsenal put on him. He could put that to 30. He's had a good season. Now, I think Arteta likes him. He'll be given a chance to earn a spot in the team. As much as I think we need a midfielder or two, to put it nicely, Partey at this moment in time is probably the only Arsenal midfielder you can look at and say there's no question marks, because Xhaka's got 2 years left. If we believe what we've been told, 2 years, you got to make a decision. I don't need to spell out Torreira and Guendouzi to you. El Nene also will have a year left, but 2 years and whatnot needs to be moved on. Odegaard, Ceballos, these are not our players. Joe Willock, I think, will be kept for the squad depth purposes, and also he's a homegrown lad. And I think there's reason to that. I like Joe Willock. I think he can be used in the squad. I just feel, as I've seen, like in the Newcastle game, Liverpool game, it was stretched. Both teams in the second half looked like they could score. Joe is very good when there's space and you need to press and stuff. For Arsenal, not that we're playing great football, but I need to see him in low blocks and being able to break lines. And to a degree, it's probably not him. I see a lot of industry. I need to see a bit more invention and intention. And I haven't quite seen that yet from Joe Willock. Maybe that's just not his thing. Maybe Newcastle is a good fit for him. I would like to have him back. But if Arsenal want 20 to 30 million for him and Newcastle stay up and stump that up, then it is what it is. That can be reinvested. See you later, Joe Willock sort of thing. But I think he's doing all he can to have a future at the football club. Like I said, I'd give him a chance, but I reckon, he could be sold. I do think if anyone's going to stay, it be him. Maitland-Niles, you never know. He might get an opportunity. A better game for Maitland-Niles, to be fair with you. Sorry, people. Obviously, West Bromwich Albion drew 2-2, and it was a terrible game for the centre halves. Ex-Arsenal men Bartley and Ajayi were terrible in certain incidences of the game. Konza lost his footing. Maitland-Niles obviously won a penalty after being fouled. People, I'm not sure it was Konza who fouled him, if I can remember correctly, but I definitely remember Konza slipping in that game. Maitland-Niles, again, with Maitland-Niles, he made a good defensive block in the second half. There was some good passes. I'm nitpicking, but it kind of sums up Maitland. He carelessly lost the ball in the 68th minute in midfield. He weren't aware of what's around him. It was a better performance from Maitland, but, it's not that he's had a bad loan spell, because he hasn't, but it's like I'm watching the games, and if I wasn't watching for Maitland-Niles specifically, I wouldn't know he's playing. I'm not saying he's in the team because he's giving the manager what he wants. That's the opinion that matters. So clearly he's playing well, but I'm not seeing much. I don't think you look 100% solid in a defensive sense. Like I say, you could be a 6. I don't see any box to box to say you're an 8 on to that level. You know, I don't really see much. I think you could acquit yourself. I think you're definitely a Premier League footballer, but it's probably times to start standing out. I do think, like his manager said, he could look to add goals and assists. I do think he could just have more of a say in the attacking phases of play because he's involved. He's box to box, but it's a bit passive from Maitland. And I like Maitland, you know, again, probably someone that will be moved on after this campaign. But again, you know, good contribution from Maitland, a better performance from Maitland, good performance from Joe. Saliba did well, unlucky for Mavropanos so far. My guy Tyreese John-Jules, again, it's been a while since I've done my loan report, but since in that period, he's played in 3 games. He's still searching for 90 minutes, as you lot know. You know, he got 60 odd minutes against Fleetwood Town, nursing his way back from injury. Hopefully he gets 90 at the weekend. First start since his injury. Did think he had a good chance. You know, he put himself around, linked up well. But again, he's missed a lot of football. He hasn't played consistently. He's still going to be a bit rusty. He did work hard, but he looked a bit off the pace. That being said, I don't think at the time he came off. I think when he came off, I think maybe if I remember rightly, I would have taken off Richards. I think he put himself around. The key thing is to get fit. Obviously, it's disappointing for Fleetwood because, you know, it's another L for them. You know, he's got pedigree. You know, he's had injuries and not all of these appearances are 90 minutes, but 6 goals in 14. You know, between Ballard and Tyreese John-Jules, I think we've got 2 players for the first team. I think they're both better than Eddie. No disrespect to Eddie and Nketiah. Against Shrewsbury Town, again, he got 28 minutes. And against Accrington Stanley, again, you know, he showed his quality. 27 minutes, back with a bang. You know, that's a typical Tyreese John-Jules goal. I say that. This man scores all sorts of finishes, really. I remember acrobatic one against Leicester at the Emirates. It's a lovely one, too. He shows his strength. And he slots it home. Like I said, if you've been watching him, that's bread and butter for a striker. It's light work for him. And once he's fully fit, I think he's going to remind people what he's on, but we need him to stay fully fit. And it's sad, man. All the good players seem to be robbed by injuries. But again, the main thing is he's getting his fitness. In the 3 appearances that I'm talking on, he's got a goal in it. And it's not it's not even a half fit Tyreese John-Jules. So you can imagine what he's going to be on when he's fully fit. So the main thing is he's getting over his knocks and whatnot. And maybe this weekend, whoever Doncaster are playing, you might see him go the whole 90. But the key thing is to get fit, stay fit, and, you know, try and have a strong finish in however many games are left for Doncaster. So he did his thing. In terms of Daniel Ballard, again, you know, someone who, like McGuinness, I think, unfortunately, the sheer amount of centre halves on the books and whatnot, he'll probably go against them. Ballard, for me, gave a good performance for himself against Rochdale despite the loss. He was very composed. Shrewsbury Town, the same. He made some good interceptions, but obviously they weren't quite good enough. Ballard's given a good account of himself. If I'm nitpicking, sometimes needs to be aware of the strikers playing off his shoulder. McGuinness, again, you know, I think he had a tough time in the last 2 games that I'm reporting on here, people. He conceded a penalty against Wimbledon. He's lucky that it was missed. He was simply pulled from pillar to post. He got terrorized. He had an extreme physical battle. But I always say this is what these young players need to learn. How are you going to improve as a young centre-half if that don't happen? Because when he looks back in May or after the game, he realizes what I need to do. 23s, you're not getting that. Yeah, under 23s, there might occasionally be that striker who isn't in the first team and he's keeping his minutes. Like, what was it? Is it who was that striker that was at Everton? Is it Nasse or something like that? One of them. And I remember Arsenal played against them and he terrorized us. That would have been a lesson. You're not going to learn that at 23. So this is what these boys need. You know, he's lucky it's 0-0 at the end of the day, but he got terrorized against Wimbledon. I don't think he had the best of games either against Northampton, people. Some decent moments, but overall, I think uncharacteristically, he was quite poor on the ball. I don't think he was aware of his runners a lot of the time, and I just think he made some bad decisions. But in his defense, he did clear a shot off the line. Osei Tutu's had a terrible time with injuries. Maybe if he didn't have a terrible time with injuries, he might have a look. He might be getting a look in terms of fullback. Remember, Emre was liking him. Against Wickham for Cardiff, he played in the 2-1. He played 45 minutes. Indirectly involved in the goal, nothing really. You know, they were attacking. You know, he's tried to shoot. He's got clamped. Eventually, the phase has died and then been revived with Cardiff players. And then they've eventually put the ball in the back of the net, which they should have had a pen. You know, it's not funny, but in that build-up, he tried to shoot and he got an absolute clamp. It's a fair tackle, but I just screamed for him. Not that it hurt, but it's like, I've been there. And it's like, oh, it's almost like welcome back. Nice to see he's able to get 45 minutes because, you know, nice to see he's found some fitness because I want everyone at Hayland to get it through. But Personally, I think his future lies away from the club. So it's about staying fit, maybe convincing Cardiff in whatever is left to take you permanently, or also look elsewhere. But I do think he's all right. Prior to that, I didn't watch the game, but I think he got 9 minutes against Brentford in whatever that is. Harry Clark, consistent performer as they come. I think he had a bad game, one of the few bad games I've seen from him against Grimsby, but these are the games you learn from people. He recovered, he had a decent game after that. I don't know why I said good, because I think that one there's a punch, people. I think that one there is punching, but I think he lost, if I remember correctly, he lost the ball at right back way too cheaply in the build up to Grimsby's goal. And it's disappointing for Oldham because the manner in which they took the lead, isn't it? Anytime you take the lead, there's going to be problems. There was a bit of drama in the game as well, because I don't think there's VAR at this level, but Grimsby had a yellow card and it was actually given to some Donny who it wasn't. And the ref initially sent him off. Obviously, the linesman patterned it. If there is highlights available on YouTube or something, look at it, people, because it was quite decent. I felt their whole back line struggled to cope with the pace of the front players of Grimsby, and Clark was no different. He lost the ball way too cheaply. And that's what I mean. I'm not saying it to criticize him. I mean, you lose the ball like he did at right back at under 23s level, you're not necessarily punished. Instantly punished. You instantly know it's your fault. You instantly know you've played your part as well as the collective in dropping points, people. So I think they struggled, people. I think they struggled, but it is what it is. Against Harrogate Town, which was before that, they won 3-0, and I'm pretty sure you all saw the clips that are going on the socials of a lovely driving run from Harry Clark, and then obviously it's hit the post and eventually been converted. Another one who I actually like the look of, man. I like Ballard, McGuinness. I think McGuinness, Ballard, Clark, they're all decent. It's just, unfortunately, I don't think none of them are going to get chances. I want all the Haaland players to get chances, people. So that's that in relation to the players I've seen. I think Hertha Berlin are not playing. I haven't been up to date with Medley and other players, so I've purposely not included them. But in relation to the players I have got some information on or have been paying attention to for this week, people, then it is what it is. Now, this will probably come out on Tuesday. So April the 27th, and I'm pretty sure there'll be midweek action. So again, by the time this comes out, there'll be new football played or being played. So we'll go over that the following week. So the next episode of this. But for now, people, it's been a pleasure being with you. Like I said, man, it's lovely to watch. Some players are going to have futures here. Some are not. Certain guys are going to make it. Some are not. Certain players have started well and fell off, taking time. I think all of them are going to learn lessons to improve and have great futures, respectively, in what they're doing in the game. And yeah, like I said, I'm happy. I'm always, listen, it's no secret. I'm a massive Tyreese John-Jules fan, so I'm happy to see the man is fit and getting some significant minutes. Obviously, I'm a massive fan of Saliba as well. I like our centre-halves in particular. We've got some talented players here. Not everyone's going to make it, but I think they can all have futures. Just because I haven't been paying attention, I've purposely not included Matt Smith as well. I haven't even looked at Charlton's highlights, so I'll just be lying to you lot. But hopefully he got minutes for Charlton. I'm going to actually update myself on that, people. So next week, normal service will resume. But for now, please make sure you hit the like button, comment if you've got any opinions. For now, people, stay safe. God bless. DG, I'm out.